Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to talk about something a lot of you are probably really excited to hear me talk about. Maybe. Satan. The devil. Yeah, all that stuff. Whatever you call him or it or whatever. And I'm also going to comment on the whole Satanist movement and all that and give my opinions. Now, I guess I'll start out by talking about, this is telling a little story about when a short time after I converted to Christianity, kind of held the more traditional beliefs. There was a band that I really liked that posted a song onto MySpace of a band that one of their new members had also been a replacement member for. And there was this recurrent lyric, "I'm gonna do what the devil tells me to." Now, being a Christian, or a newly converted Christian with this whole thing of all that, just, yeah, I was definitely, I wanted to respond with some sort of, never, I would never do what this tells me to, but then it would be like, that would have come off as Christians shoving their beliefs down everyone's throat. So I did something that I thought was pretty clever, and this, the band that posted this clicked like on my comment. I said I would do what he told me to. However, he told me to throw away my guitar, stop listening to rock and roll, become an accountant, and vote for Mitt Romney. Well, I guess you can also tell when that was. That's what I said. And part of it is, I think the attitude that people have started to develop because of the devil is not exactly something that represents evil, but more something that represents disobedience from oppressive rules, breaking the rules and having a good time. That's the idea that I think our culture is starting to develop of what the devil is. And I think I'm going to comment more on sort of the issue with that, but that's sort of a beginning of what I'm going to comment on. And something I'm now going to comment on in response to fundamentalist Christians doing things to like hand out Bibles at public schools. An organization called the Church of Satan decided that they were going to hand out the Satanist activity book or something like that, because Christians are saying that it's their religious freedom to be able to do that. These Satanists can do it as well. And a lot of Christians were commenting on, yeah, it's kind of, those Christians kind of threw it on themselves. It's, they say it's their religious freedom, then you have to give the religious freedom to all religions in that sense. But here is something that I'm going to comment on that was upsetting for me, is that seeing what was in that book, there was like an inclusion word search. It was things about acceptance, things against bullying, things that to me very much is the Christian message. And for me, what's upsetting about all this is that what's looked upon as an anti-Christian message really is, to me, what Christianity is all about. To me, what's upsetting about this is seeing how much Christianity has been twisted and changed into everything that I would say it's not. And part of it is And then with the whole thing about the devil being sort of a thing about breaking the rules. Jesus was, when you look at the Gospels, Jesus regularly breaks the rules. The Pharisees say, the law insists that we stone this woman. And it's like, he then says, alright, let the one without sin cast the first stone. Because, I mean, if he had stoned her, he would be going against his teachings, and if he said, no, I'm not going to harm a life, he would be going against the law. But he was breaking the law. He was breaking the Jewish rules of that time. Christianity is not about being a slave to rules. It's about living a life of compassion for others. And yeah, so that's part one of my comments on overall the devil and overall all that. Now, some of the other things is that there's a lot of music that I listen to that's been accused of being the devil's music, and this is kind of an obvious reason for that. But if you look at the lyrics to their song "Highway to Hell," um, it's more about how sort of living the rock and roll life can sometimes feel empty. That's how I interpret their lyrics. I'm also going to some other side comments about the devil. Here's a really talented musician accused of selling his soul to the devil. The story goes, he was at a club one night, played terribly. A couple years later, he came back. He was absolutely fantastic. Um, I think the devil is sort of being used as a scapegoat. Sort of, it's people who are refusing to admit that practicing music actually works. People are they're basically saying they're jealous of the talent. And so they want to just try to find a way to make it look like the talent that this musician has is wrong. Anyway, there's also that the devil made me do it stuff. I think a lot of the times the devil is also sort of a scapegoat. Basically, um, and in all honesty, I think a lot of Christians, rather than worshiping God, these preachers preach much more about Satan and the devil. I think what they're really worshiping is the devil. That's that's what they use to scare people. But it's used as a control tactic. As I said, it's also sometimes used as a scapegoat. But at the church I go to, the only time I ever heard the devil or hell mentioned in a sermon was a comment on the idea that Jesus went to hell so that none of us would have to. But I could ramble on about this. I have kind of been getting more and more random after the beginning of this video. But anyway, thank you for watching. Shalom.